The White House's top science advisor resigns. COVID mask mandates are being lifted in liberal states. And is the White House giving out crack pipes? And more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Blinkist. Do you want to read books that make you more confident and more educated, but you don't have enough time? Well, Blinkist gives you access to thousands of amazing titles in audiobook form. It's an easy way to get more knowledgeable every day. I'll tell you more at the end. So, the White House's top science advisor, Eric Lander, has resigned. It comes after an internal investigation concluded he had bullied staff. Lander apologized, saying, "I have sought to push myself and my colleagues to reach our shared goals, including at times challenging and criticizing. But it is clear that things I said and the way I said them crossed the lines at times into being disrespectful and demeaning to both men and women." Lander wasn't asked to resign, but he chose to, since the White House has a strict rule against demeaning others.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Maybe not that strict. Speaking of apologies, former Pope Benedict asked for forgiveness from sexual abuse victims, specifically in response to a report on how sexual abuse cases were handled while he was in charge of the Munich Archdiocese. "I can only express to all the victims of sexual abuse my profound shame, my deep sorrow, and my heartfelt request for forgiveness." Benedict's apology drew criticism since, although he apologized, he didn't admit he was at fault for not doing more to stop the sexual abuse in the first place. So, he apologized even though he may think he did nothing wrong. That might sound ridiculous, but if 7 years of Catholic school has taught me anything, it's that feeling guilty for no reason is actually the most Catholic thing ever. Speaking of religious leaders, more than 75 religious leaders from several different faiths wrote a letter to Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg asking him to cancel plans to release a version of Instagram targeted at children under 13 years of age. In the letter, the spiritual leaders wrote, "After much meditation and prayer, we assert that social media platforms that target immature brains, practice unethical data mining, and are inspired by profit motives are not a tool for the greater good of children." Wow. You know you've gone too far when you're being accused of being motivated by money and dangerous to kids under 13 by the Catholic Church. Last fall, Facebook paused the launch of Instagram Kids, but they didn't cancel it. They say they will prove the value and need for this product. Yeah, I bet that argument will change a lot of minds. There's nothing I can think of that's more valuable and necessary for your human children than joining the all-encompassing hive mind that is the metaverse. Abandon your friends. Abandon your family. Abandon your religion. Meta is your God now. Also, I like barbecue sauce. This is a real catch-22, because if these religious leaders want Mark Zuckerberg to listen, they need to get the God he prays to speak out against Instagram Kids. However, the God Mark Zuckerberg prays to is money, and not making a fortune with Instagram Kids would be blasphemy in that religion. More after the break. Welcome back. Several states are reporting a drop in the number of COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. This has led the governors of Connecticut, New Jersey, Oregon, and Delaware to announce they will lift mask mandates in schools by the end of February or in March. Although, of course, the biggest threat in Delaware is an Omicron. Now, your biggest danger when visiting Delaware is having too many awesome things to do and not enough time. After all, Delaware is home to the Air Mobility Command Museum, the Winterthur Museum and Gardens, and Delaware Dave's House of Bacon Grease. Mention America Uncovered for 50% off a bacon grease popsicle. Yum! Hey, YouTube demonetizes us, so we need to find our own sponsors, wherever we can get them. It's nice to see states lifting COVID restrictions because the number of cases are dropping. Or maybe they're just afraid of truck convoy protests popping up and pressuring them into lifting restrictions, like what's going on in Canada right now. New York lifted their mask mandate, but school children will still be required to wear masks in class. Children in California schools will also need to continue wearing masks, but the state announced it would lift its indoor mask mandate for vaccinated citizens starting next week. Finally, folks in LA can have their faces as free and uncovered as Stacey Abrams in a class full of masked children. Although the mask mandate will soon be lifted in California, a vaccine mandate is still in effect in many places and could be responsible for the termination of 4,000 employees in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Yep, because California definitely doesn't need more police right now. It's not like they're seeing an explosion of homicide deaths and train robberies. Yes, train robberies. This is a real thing happening in 2022. I covered it, and I still can't believe it's a real thing happening in 2022. But falling COVID cases is a good thing. Unless, of course, COVID makes you money. Like the drug company Pfizer. They expected to earn $54 billion in 2022 on sales of their COVID vaccine and treatment pill. $54 billion. That's crazy. You know what the craziest part is? That's actually a disappointing number for them. This projection caused their stock and other vaccine stocks to plummet by $28 billion. Oh no, if this pandemic is actually entering its final days, that means that pharma CEOs won't be able to afford a second helipad on their third yacht. Quick! We need to do something to keep this pandemic going. Won't someone please think of the poor billionaires? Maybe it's because of this revenue loss that Pfizer increased the price of several of its drugs at the beginning of the year, some of which saw as much as a 16% increase. Gee, I wonder why people don't trust the pharmaceutical companies and think they're putting profits over people. Even the Catholic Church and Meta are looking at Pfizer like, not cool, man, not cool. And after the break, the Supreme Court rules on Alabama voting districts. Welcome back. By a vote of 5-4, the Supreme Court blocked a lower court's order that would have required Alabama to draw a new congressional district map. Many Democrats are saying that blocking the redrawing of districts is a Republican power grab and will disenfranchise black voters who aren't equally represented. Conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh justified his decision to block the lower court's order, saying that redrawing the district maps this close to the May 24 primaries would lead to confusion. Filing deadlines need to be met. The candidates cannot be sure what district they need to file for. Indeed, at this point, some potential candidates do not even know which district they live in, nor do incumbents know if they now might be running against other incumbents in the upcoming primaries. So everyone's confused and nobody in charge has a clue what they're doing. Yep, sounds like Alabama, all right. No wonder there's so much controversy. Just look at this map. This decision is a real shame. Mainly because Alabamians have a stereotype that they can't read or write, and apparently they can't draw either. In a 70-page report, a bipartisan congressional commission said America needs a new strategy to combat the opioid epidemic. The Commission on Combating Synthetic Opioid Trafficking, or CSOT for short? I think it's just CCSOT. At least this time they didn't come up with a stupid acronym. Anyway, the CCSOT laid out a plan of government action to battle opioids because they care about saving lives, but also because they care about saving money, since CCSOT estimates drug overdoses cost the economy $1 trillion every year. This plan to battle opioid addiction includes better cooperation with law enforcement to stop the supply of drugs. Good idea. Offering treatment to reduce the demand for drugs. Nice. I like it. And increasing data analysis and surveillance. There it is. You had me in the first half, not gonna lie. They laid out a great plan, then slipped in, by the way, we'd like to be able to spy on more people. Why is the government solution to everything more surveillance? Terrorists? Better spy on citizens. Opioid epidemic. Gotta snoop on some Americans. Billy scraped his knee, grab my binoculars. Speaking of spying, Capitol Police have reportedly been looking into the backgrounds of members of Congress, their staff, and those that visit Capitol Hill as part of an additional security measure after the January 6th riot. Several Republicans sent a letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asking her to investigate these reports. These Republicans are upset by these allegations, saying, if true, it infringes on civil liberties, is an abuse of power, and unconstitutional. They also likely concluded by saying, if anyone's going to be spying on American citizens, it's us. Wow, Congress, your own medicine is salty and bitter, isn't it? Hope your own medicine wasn't made by Pfizer, since they're jacking up prices. Politicians being upset at people being spied on is like tigers being upset that someone isn't vegan. Or Nancy Pelosi being upset about insider trading, saying this week they need to tighten the fines on members of Congress who violated the Stock Trading Act. Like a unicorn, or a new parent that can talk about anything besides their boring baby, I'll believe it when I see it. In the letter to Nancy Pelosi, the Republicans wrote, Capitol Police were directed to look for information on donors and staff that would cast a member in a negative light. If true, these allegations are serious violations of Americans' civil rights and civil liberties. Our constituents have the right to petition Congress, and they should be able to exercise this right without fear that Capitol Police will scrutinize their property taxes, social media, or relationships. If this is true, and Nancy Pelosi is somehow using Capitol Police to target Republican donors, that is completely unacceptable and needs to stop immediately. It's a slippery slope. Instead, Capitol Police should target every political donor and the politicians who are insider trading. We all deserve to know who's funding our politicians and how they're gaming the system. Do their loyalties lie with their constituents or their corporate sponsors? Like Delaware Dave's House of Bacon Grease. No wonder that slope is so slippery. Earlier this week, articles started emerging like this, saying that the Biden administration would fund programs that would hand out free crack pipes in order to advance racial equity. This is the archived version of this article, as they later changed the headline. Well, that certainly is an update to that old presidential promise of the American dream. A car in every garage, a chicken in every pot, and a crack pipe in every hand. USA! USA! Surely this has to be a mistake, right? Once these reports started coming out, there was immediately a lot of denial around the story. Snopes called these claims mostly false, then changed the claim to outdated, which means it used to be true? Snopes said news reports in February 2022 grossly misrepresented the facts about a federal harm reduction program. So that means federal funding wasn't planned to go to crack pipes? Not exactly. It turns out that, yes, there were crack pipes included in the program. But this was just one component of a safe smoking kit, which in itself was one component of the harm reduction program that was indeed designed to advance racial equity by giving priority to underserved communities in helping fight against addiction. However, Snopes says that the crack pipes and racial equity aren't linked, and it was unfair of the media to focus exclusively on the crack pipe component. So essentially, Snopes wasn't fact-checking so much as they were narrative-checking. It's a case of one media source being misleading while combating other media sources for being misleading. It's a real fight dumpster fire with dumpster fire situation. Giving out clean drug paraphernalia sounds outrageous, but proponents of harm reduction programs say it can save lives and help in the process of leading addicts to recovery. And there is evidence that needle exchange programs have reduced the spread of HIV. But whether giving out drug paraphernalia actually helps people stop using drugs is unclear. There's a big debate about that right now. Meanwhile, after all the negative publicity, the White House is walking back these claims, saying, no federal funding will go towards giving out crack pipes. What are you talking about? Without ever admitting they planned on doing so in the first place. Cool. So we've gone from freebasing to gaslighting. The government and the media are trying to bury the story in real time. On the bright side, this is definitely helping racial equity, because no matter your skin color, background, or upbringing, the story is equally confusing and frustrating to everyone. And this episode is sponsored by Blinkist. If you're the kind of person who wants to learn and improve yourself, you're going to love Blinkist. It's got thousands of books in all these categories: politics, history, money, and investment, and dozens more. One of the cool things Blinkist does is recommend titles based on things I'm already interested in. For example, this book, Architects of Intelligence by Martin Ford. It interviews a bunch of AI scientists who have different opinions on pretty much everything about the future of AI and its dangers. Blinkist condensed this 500-page book into a quick 15-minute read. Blinkist condenses thousands of titles like this into short reads and audiobooks. I can read them or listen to them podcast style. It's great for my commute or just while I'm doing stuff around the house. I can also access them offline. Blinkist also gives me full-length audiobooks. Blinkist already has 14 million active users, and they're offering a special deal for America Uncovered fans. Right now, Blinkist has a special offer just for our audience. Click the link in my description to start your free 7-day trial with Blinkist and get 25% off a premium membership. The first 100 people to go to Blinkist.com/America Uncovered are going to get unlimited access for 1 week to try it out. You'll also get 25% off if you want the full membership. So check out the link below. Your 7-day trial is completely free and you can cancel at any time during this period. So why not try it out? And you'll see just how much you can learn. I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.